Are we filming? Yes, we are. This channel is predominantly for my grandchildren, but I know that there is interest amongst the wider viewing public, so that is why I've set it up like this. I want to talk today about a personal failure which has caused me a lot of frustration. With the benefit of hindsight, I would have done things differently. But you can tell from the title of the video what this is about. It's about my failure to record my father's life on audio tape, maybe video, but certainly audio. And I'm just kind of expressing my thoughts in the hope that other people won't make the same mistake as I did. My father lived to a good age, but he died unexpectedly last month. But I want to wind things back to the seed of thought about this whole recording someone's life. About 8 years ago, I think it was about 8 years ago, I listened to a series on BBC Radio 4 here in the UK. And I don't have a link, I can't remember the thing, but it is a thing where I believe a BBC producer's father was dying of cancer. And this BBC producer decided to record some episodes, as many as he could, recording his father's experiences of life. And he continued to do that until his father died. And I was inspired by this because 8 years ago, my father was well into his 80s, and I had this idea of setting up a series of discussions, if you like, interviews, not really interviews, but just literally putting a microphone down on the table between us in the breakfast room of his house, maybe, and ask him to recount some of his life's experiences. However, through a certain element of prevarication, that is very true, a certain amount of reticence on my father's part, because as you get older, sometimes you don't feel, I imagine, that you want to recount everything that happened to you in your life. I think I sensed a certain reticence, reluctance. So I played it softly, and we didn't. We never did record. We never did record. We never sat that microphone down onto the table between us and press record. We never did that. And now it's too late. We faced lockdown back in 2020. So I record this in 2025. So around about 5 years ago, we were restricted in our movements, and so I didn't actually. Well, just visits to my parents ceased, at least for a while. But what we did do was chat on the telephone more, a lot more. Certainly, I'm just trying to work it out. Maybe an hour to an hour and a half, twice a week. So do the maths. I think it's between 5, 6, 7, maybe even 800 hours of conversation. So we did this quite regularly. And after I found out that my father had died unexpectedly, it just hit me. Rather than wait for an opportunity to sit down with my father with a microphone on the table and ask questions. I could have just done this via telephone. So we would typically talk hands-free on the speakerphones of our respective phones, mobile phones, and I could have just set up a tape recorder, if you like, and recorded 5, 6, 7, maybe 800 hours of conversation, which would have been good enough. It wouldn't have been broadcast quality, it wouldn't have been perfect, but it would have been clear, it would have been legible, and it would have been on the SD card, so that I could have, in the fullness of time, edited those experiences in audio to produce a fantastic body of work that I could have shared with not only immediate family, but also descendants who are yet to come. Now that's something that would probably fascinate our descendants in the same way that a lot of us are fascinated by recounts of the First World War, Second World War, from people that are no longer with us. So there would have been, I'm sure, an interest amongst the wider viewing public, wider listening public. For instance, my father came from a northern town, and he would have, as a young boy, he would have seen the bombers flying over to Germany in the war. As a young man, arriving in London to work, he would have seen in the mid-50s, he would have seen the bomb sites and the devastation left over from the Blitz. And there are so many stories that I vaguely remember, but wanted more. I wanted more detail. For instance, cycling down the A1 from up north in a single day to attend the Festival of Britain. I mean, that's a fantastic achievement. Lumberjacking in Nigeria. Cycling around France. Doing his national service. These are all these are all things that would interest more than just the immediate family and future descendants. It would be interesting to historians. But I never did it. I never did this, and I never discussed it with my dad. I feel like he would have probably been okay with me recording. I'm sure that he would have been okay with it. And I would have just done a little bit each week. So nothing too heavy, nothing too intense. And I think he would have enjoyed it. But I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And then last month, we have lived in, for a while, we've lived in 2 separate countries. So visiting each other has been tricky, a sort of fairly long distance thing. So we have carried on this regular, fairly intensive telephone thing, and it has, up until recently, it's become something to look forward to in life. But I didn't do it. I didn't have the gumption to think, why don't I just record our telephone conversations and then edit it later? Now, I might be able to do this with my mother and record some of her experiences, but it isn't quite the same. But I will endeavour to try and do this. But I bitterly regret not doing this with my dad, not recording his experiences of life. I can never ever get him back. So this is my message. My message is, if you want to record some memories and experiences of life of a loved one, maybe, or one of your parents, don't hold back. Just record it onto an SD card. You can buy a cheap recorder. You can even, as I understand it, record directly onto some mobile phones now. But whatever you do, just press record.